Hello and welcome to the 2025 Fire Weather Outlook presented by National Weather Service Pocatello here during the month of April. Here's what you'll see in this presentation. We'll take a look first at environmental conditions compared to last year, the expectations for drought conditions this year, and then what sort of Pacific influences, chiefly through El Nino, will we see, expectations for temperatures and precipitation, then the forecast fire activity. This is a forecast made by the Great Basin GAC Fire Behavior Unit. And then we'll take a look at the fire weather program, what changes are occurring for 2025, and what products are available, most of these actually year-round. All right, so this time last year, you can see some places were right around normal to slightly above normal for most of eastern Idaho and central Idaho, with the exception of the Salmon River Basin area where it was actually significantly below normal at 87%. And then this year, though, it's about the same, within 15 percentage points of near normal or normal, with the exception of the Birch, Medicine Lodge, and Beaver canvas drainage there up in the Clark County area, where it's down to 84%. All in all, though, not too bad for this year. And this was measured on March 28th. Usually the peak occurs on or around April 1st, so this is probably about it, and the melt will start here soon. So these are the current drought conditions. You can see there is moderate drought now in Lemhi County and along the Montana border and the northern border of Wyoming. And it does seep into Custer County, but otherwise it's just abnormally dry. And this is the changes. So where you see the warmer yellow and orange colors, it's changing to drier conditions and more droughty, you could say. And then areas that are green are actually less like drought. And here it is for the entire western states. And so you can see there's widespread pretty bad conditions once you get into southern Nevada and places down to the Mexican border, and then in eastern Wyoming, and also the lee side of the Rockies in Montana has not been doing well this year. And here's the change from last year overall. You can see tremendous changes in the desert Southwest, Southern California, all the way into Utah and sort of the southern Great Basin. And then you can see that strong changes here in eastern Wyoming as well. Okay, what's happening with El Nino? El Nino phenomenon in the Pacific is that we are looking for a current La Nina that is in place, will likely fade at least a little bit. Here's a breakout in a 90-day period throughout all of 2025. You can see here that right now we are definitely in a neutral, and then this weak chances of a La Nina developing, and by October this fall it'll actually be even chances of it being either neutral or La Nina. So there's no real significant chance of any sort of El Nino, which means that the southern tier will not be getting as much precipitation as usual. Here it's a little less definitive about what La Nina means for us. It can really kind of go either way. Here's a number of people predict what happens with the El Nino Southern Oscillation in the Pacific. You can see they're all pretty hovering. This is actually fairly close. And then here in the green is the statistical average here, and you can see it is staying in the negative numbers, and it really needs, and that would be pretty much a neutral position. You have to get to above or below, positive 0.5 or negative 0.5 to get a definitive El Nino or La Nina. So right now it doesn't look like either of those is kind of going to happen. We're going to stay in these neutral conditions. All right, so let's look at the 3-month outlook. This is for early summer, or actually, I'm sorry, springtime, April, May, June. you can see here that we have just low confidence chance the southern tier of our forecast area will be warmer than normal. Otherwise, it's a 50-50 chance of being above normal or near or below normal. So really not sure. You can see it's much more solidly that we will be below normal with a higher confidence, with very high confidence that it'll be like that in the southern Great Basin, but the northern Great Basin and the northern Rockies a little less likely, but still that's what they're leaning towards, less precipitation for the April, May, June period. And for the early summer, June, July, August, you can see we're looking at strongly above normal conditions are expected in the Great Basin, and that does seep into our southern tier here in eastern Idaho, and pretty good confidence of being above normal for the rest of our forecast area. And you can see here, usually precipitation forecast is much harder to get this solid forecast of a below normal, but there you have it pretty much, except for the Bear Lake Basin area where it's a little less confident. We are looking for it to be below normal for the early summer. And then here's late summer into fall. You can see still above normal chances for much of the west, especially south of us, but including us, some solid chances. And then when it comes to precipitation for the September, October, November period, it's basically flip a coin. They really don't know, equal chances of above or below normal, but not necessarily near normal. Near normal would be shaded gray in this scheme. All right, here's the outlook for drought for the season. So the only season they're going out so far is for this spring, and they're looking at it where it's going to be droughty. It's going to stay kind of droughty, which would be our Lemhi County area, this area along the Wyoming border. And here's what the predictive services in the Great Basin GAC are expecting for us. So far, this is as far out as their forecast goes. As the spring progresses, you can look at their website and see forecasts for later on in the season. For instance, I don't believe they've done August yet. But here's April, obviously not a fire season for us really, but down here in Texas in this desert southwest, it surely is. Then in May, you can start to see the creep westward and northward. By June, it's still in southern Great Basin. Now let's look at weather services and the fire weather program in the National Weather Service for 2025. Our red flag criteria is not changing. So for thunderstorms, we are still looking at scattered coverage, and we will coordinate for wet versus dry thunderstorms. If we are looking for them to be dry, it will definitely be issued, but if we're only expecting wet thunderstorms, we would probably give you a call and see what you want to do with that. Normally, wet thunderstorms tend to have more lightning, but a lot will probably depend on your fuel conditions as well. If they're not very dry or not very critical, it may not be a necessary situation, but for a lot of the, especially in high summer, this may not make a difference. Okay, our red flag criteria for humidity and wind gusts has not changed. In the Idaho Falls BLM area, you can see here that the wind gusts are still 30 miles an hour or more, humidity below 15%, and that has to take place for a 3-hour period. And again, we're only using observations in that are on the RAWS network or on our own National Weather Service METAR network, as we call it. Okay, when will fire weather forecasts start? You can expect to see them starting May 19th. We'll start doing them in the morning. So they're issued before 6 a.m. and usually before 4 o'clock. In June is when the two-a-days start, and that would start on June 16th. So you'll be able to see an update in the afternoon, usually again between 2 and 3 p.m. We do have 24/7 weather support. First of all, we have a weather briefing. You can access all times of night. This briefing again is on YouTube. This is our YouTube channel here. You can also see it on our website. We have links to it at this link here. And it will basically cover any sort of critical weather patterns. If it's a critical fire weather pattern, it will be mentioned. However, if we don't, for instance, mention relative humidity, it is very likely because it is not an issue at this time. Other things, the spot forecast request page, if you haven't been using it lately, it has been much improved from over last year. There still may be issues with it and its usability. Hopefully you'll be more familiar with it this season. And as always, if you want to go to use the dispatch office here in eastern Idaho, for example, you can always do that, and they have significantly more practice using this website, and we'll be able to help you. Okay, if you are in the Forest Service, IMETs can be dispatched to prescribe burns. We've never done that here in eastern Idaho. Your burns usually are not as massive as they are, say, in the Midwest, in the eastern region, or some places in California. We can only do that for Forest Service agencies, and we are under the same rules as firefighters. But again, you can order an on-site meteorologist if you wish. This is our fire weather webpage. Again, this hasn't changed. What you can find here is the fire weather forecast. There's also a point forecast matrix you can look at. I think we have an example of that here, where you can put in a specific latitude and longitude, and it will tell you what's going to happen with the relative humidity for a certain period, the temperature for a certain period, what the mixing height will be doing, what the transport wind will be like, for instance here, what the surface winds will be like, and the probability of lightning, which is essentially the probability of thunderstorms. And as always, there is this system you can have on your mobile phone called INWS. You just need to sign up for it. If you have anything you do want to sign up for, this does allow you to sign up for certain weather alerts via email or text, and it goes to your mobile device. So it would include any size, and then your PC. For instance, a tablet, you could have it on as well. Okay, some of the changes. There will no longer be a Haynes index forecast. There is currently no standard replacement available yet. It is still under study, but the NWCG has told us to stop forecasting Haynes. Forecasters will add more stability information in the fire weather section of the area forecast discussion, and hopefully you'll see more in, for instance, your discussion in the fire weather control forecast that we put out once a day or twice a day, depending on the time of season. And you can use mixing height to infer less stable conditions. The higher it is, you tend to have more plume-dominated fires. And mixing height as a stability metric is currently under study. The lightning activity level forecast will no longer be there. Instead, what you'll see is a chance of thunder that will be looked at in 6-hour thunderstorm probabilities. So, for instance, it will be in the morning, and then in the afternoon for daytime periods, and then the evening and late night hours for the overnight periods. At least we're thinking of leaning that way. And so that'll give you a threat probability and a percent chance. Obviously, if it's a 30% chance, that would probably mean a red flag warning is out. Actually, anything over 25 should mean that during if you have critical fuels here at the peak of fire season. And we could also be looking at some 6-hour probabilities in the briefings, which we actually were using last year on our recorded briefing. So that's all I have. If you have any further questions, you can always contact us at area code 208-233-0834. If you have any questions, thanks for listening, and have a safe an excellent fire season.